obviously our country's been torn apart like very quickly, very aggressively. This is the big one. Right? This is the big one, the next budget bill. And we've seen versions of this come out from the Senate, from the House. The Senate one was more modest in its cuts. The House one was more aggressive. And this is Trump's one. So for those of you who don't know, like the process of deciding on a budget is a long and arduous process, like everything in our government. It's extremely inefficient. It's full of redundancy. You can attach a bunch of rider bills to it, so the budget gets like hooked up on a bunch of other crazy stuff. The tax portion of the GOP legislation contains more than $5 trillion in tax cuts, according to an estimate from the Joint Committee on Taxation, costs that are partially offset by spending cuts elsewhere and other changes in the tax code. That's a lot. Looking to make permanent the individual income tax cuts passed in Trump's first term, enact some of the promises he made on the campaign trail to not tax tips, overtime, and interest on auto loans. Republicans partially offset the tax breaks by rolling back the clean energy tax credits. Oh yeah, partially offset by like 0.0001%. States to pick up more of the tab for food assistance. New work requirements for Medicaid. Well, Medicaid is done at a state-by-state level. Is it mandating that states have to now reduce the number of people with health care by 8.6 million? Applicants cannot qualify for Medicaid if they have a home that is valued at more than 1 million. Oh shit. There's not going to be... Medicaid will be impossible to obtain for anyone who lives in a inherited house on the West Coast. That's crazy. Funding for 1 million migrant deportations, 20,000 new officers in the border wall. Yeah, my understanding is that in addition to the insane cuts to tax revenue, they're going to be spending an enormous amount of money on the military and on the Department of Homeland Security, basically to turn it into a federal police force. Trump wants a golden dome for America, a long-envisioned missile defense shield. Okay, saving and spending. Let's see. So here's where we're spending. Extend 2017 Trump tax cuts, increase standard deduction, increase child tax credit, defense spending, border wall and immigration restrictions, no tax and overtime, senior bonus, no tax and tips, car loan interest, saving accounts for newborns. Okay. And where are we saving? Student loan changes, cuts to Medicaid, rescind climate change money, raise SALT cap to 30,000, state and local tax deduction, raise that cap to $30,000, less than what blue states had demanded. Yeah, no, this is still all very much up in the air. Making states pay for SNAP, that's going to lead a lot of people to starve to death. That'll be fun. Increased child tax credit for some, border wall, other barriers. The CBO calculated over 7 million people would lose healthcare under that bill. They sure are governing like they're not going to have to run again. They let work requirement be left to the states, but mandated by January 1st, 2029. How will this affect the midterms? I'm not sure how much of these changes is going to be like implemented by the midterms. Sometimes these things take years to take into effect. There is going to be a pretty immediate effect for a lot of people with regards to like the Medicaid cuts, SNAP assistance, for example. I'm not sure what amount would be implemented by then. They might postpone it to like after that point, so it's not their problem politically. Will this hurt red or blue states? It'll hurt both. Josh Hawley of Missouri implored his party not to impair Medicaid, arguing that cutting healthcare to pay for tax breaks is both morally wrong and politically suicidal. If Republicans want to be a working class party, if we want to be a majority party, we must ignore calls to cut Medicaid and start delivering on America's promise for America's working people. Does the red-brown fascist not like the fact that he's been working alongside corporate oligarchs this entire time? You thought all that rhetoric was real? You stupid piece of shit. Price tag could climb to 20 trillion. We might actually be reaching an insolvency crisis. The debt is going to skyrocket with all these tax cuts. Like, it's going to go way the up. And past a point, like, we're not, like, too much of our annual spending is going to be going towards just paying off the interest on the debt, Trigger a run on the dollar. Well, if we devalue the USD, like, that collapses the global economy, so... The legislation proposes to boost the standard deduction many Americans use by $2,000 to $32,000 per household, increase the child tax credit from $2,000 to $2,500 for 4 years. I mean, people are going to like these tax cuts, People are going to like them very, very much. They're going to be very politically popular. Dozens of House Republicans have told Johnson and GOP leaders they will not support cuts to Medicaid. Yeah, we'll see about that. Nor to green energy tax breaks that businesses back home have been relying on to invest in new wind, solar, and renewable projects. Expanding work requirements for SNAP. Along with new work requirements for older Americans, it would require some parents of children older than 7 to work to qualify, down from 18 years old. Only Only areas with unemployment rates over 10% would be eligible for waivers. Wait, what? For SNAP? You can't even get SNAP if your area has a 9% unemployment rate? 10% is an insanely high ceiling for one, but for two, what the that's actually crazy. That's crazy. It's called means testing. They're learning from the liberals. Wow. Area based on what? Your city, your state, your county? Yeah. What if you live in like a small town that's in a county that is overall doing well, but the town that you live in is not doing well? What's the area that it's based on? That is absolutely insane. Also, yeah, like 7. Sorry, your kid's 7. You know, if you want to get food stamps, you need to be working. 7-year-old can stay at home on their own, right? 60 billion in new money for agriculture programs. Okay, there's the Kowalski buck. There's the farmer subsidy. 880 billion in cuts to Medicaid. Will the Dems even push back on this in any way? Well, sure, the Dems. I mean, hey, listen, the House Dems pushed back against the budget framework as best as they could then. It was Schumer who caved, remember? The reconciliation package to keep the government open. The Democrats have more or less been voting against these bills. It's just, you know, the Republicans control the House and Senate, so don't know how much you can really trust them. It does seem like some compromises are going to have to be made, though, because a lot of Republicans are not necessarily okay with this. 10% for the requirement to work waiver, not for SNAP. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I realized the 10% unemployment like that's for the work requirement for SNAP. So you'd only get a waiver on that if your unemployment rate in that area was 10% or over. Still bad. Oh, that's still very, very bad. Yeah, 100%. Vosh has been such an American superiority asshole. Now we're laughing over here in Europe. They will not divide us. Where were you when fascism came to America? Laughing? Where was I when fascism came to Europe? Defending. Okay? I was there with you. And your snobby European arrogance, as always, us Americans repping it superior. Over here from America, I express solidarity. Over there from your poor, dirty country, where you walk streets paved 200 years ago, you express what? Contempt? Well, sorry that I can get same-day delivery on basically anything that I want to order in the entire world, okay? Mother, I have to ride a bicycle to my local post station. So can we, though? I don't believe that. Will the Dems at least try to make a spectacle out of it? I'm going to ban you for the rest of the stream because I truly hate the meaningless, can you see the future rhetorical questions. What are you asking me that for? I don't know. I just work here. It's pretty bad. Eligible for Medicaid, there'd be new community engagement requirements of at least 80 hours per month of work, education, or service for able-bodied adults without dependents. People would also have to verify their eligibility to be in the program twice a year rather than just once. How will they spin this for the tax cut? They don't have to spin anything. Tax cuts in general are just popular because Americans don't think their tax money goes anywhere. Which, in fairness, like, we spend our accrued tax revenue in an incredibly inefficient way. So a lot of people's perceptions of the government being ineffective in that way, I mean, they're kind of accurate. But it's not waste or fraud. It's just that we spend way too much through Medicaid because the government is paying out to the obscenely overinflated healthcare prices that you would otherwise have to pay yourself. It's all just a scheme to extract money from taxpayers and send it up the ladder. But on the plus side, taxes will be lower. The most ghoulish framework was $4 trillion in cuts. They're actually evil. Yeah, we'll see what actually ends up getting passed. Who the knows, man?